Previously on Historical Geocaching, my best friend and I are visiting the Oconaluftee Indian Village in Cherokee, North Carolina. Most recently, we've toured some cabins and learned how the Cherokee once crafted their canoes.
So Shioniga, Shayna Dogodo. In our language, that means hello everybody, my name is Shayna. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the council house and some of our history. So starting with the doorway, it would always face east and there would be a long winding corridor from the outside to the inside. And that would be so that nobody could see inside or outside in order to get distracted. There were always very important business matters going on in the council house, so it was important to keep that privacy. Behind you, you can see what looks like a window, just like the 1540s house. That's just there to show you what the inside of the walls look like, so that wouldn't have been an issue either. The council house itself would be located as close to the center of the village as possible. The fire would actually try to be the very center of the village. However, the square grounds would also be centrally located. The council house, as you can see, has 7 different sides and also 7 sections of seating. And that corresponds to our 7 clans, which I'll go over right now. They are bird, long hair, wild potato, paint, deer, blue, and wolf. So each clan would sit in their designated section, and they would be separated that way. Clanships are like big families, so whatever your clan is considered your family, and it would be taboo to marry somebody within your own clan. You inherit your clanship through your mother, and so every mother would pass their clan to their child, so every child would have a place in society. There were also separations based on clanships, like for example these white gourd dippers. These would be used in our purification ceremony. So that was something that occurred when people would drink just clean spring water out of a white bowl, kind of like this one, and that would they would then drink out of the gourd dipper that corresponded to their clan, and then that would be a symbol of purifying their minds and bodies. Now above the gourd dippers you can see the eagle feather wands all around this circle here, and those would be used in our ceremonial dances as well as the masks. They talk more about ceremonial dances up at the square grounds if you want to stick around for that lecture too. That's at 12:30. And then I'm going to move to the fireplace here. The fire traditionally should always be lit in the council house, and that's because it's like an eternal flame, and that's what comes from the Creator. Each year, around late October or early November after the fall harvest, would be the start of the new year, and that would occur when they would take some embers out of the fire and put them into a little bowl like this one with these knobby things on it. And then they would clean out the fireplace and then put the embers back into the fire, and that would be the signal of the start of the new year. But in that way the fire never truly went out. And then at the same time, women from their own personal homes would bring a bowl just like that one I just showed you to the council house door, and men whose job it was to look over the fireplace would bring embers out to those women, and they could start the fire in their own homes. Those men whose job it was to look over the fire, it was such a serious job that for whatever reason, if the fire were to go out under their watch, they could have been put to death for it. Around the fireplace you can see the 7-pointed star, and that corresponds also to the 7 clans, but also 7 different kinds of woods that are burned in the fireplace. Each clan would be responsible for bringing one type of wood, and that would also be the kind of wood that they would burn in their own personal homes. As you can see, the fireplace is kind of built up in this dome shape, and that's just because throughout time the fireplace would be cleaned out, but all of the debris wouldn't be taken out. So the fireplace, or the size of it, would signify how old or how young the council house was. I'm going to move to the headdresses here behind me. The one in the middle would be worn by the peace chief, and that would be made from hair and feathers, so we would have had to trade with coastal tribes for those. There's also the white breechcloth and leggings behind that headdress, and this turkey feather cape over here, and that's made from the breast feathers of a turkey. So the peace chief was obviously in charge of the village during times of peace, so he would look over things like marriage ceremonies or just civil council ceremonies, and so his was a very important job, but he did have to give over authority of the village to the war chief in times of war, And the war chief is symbolized by this red headdress here. That would also originally be white, however it would be dyed with red ochre. You can find that in the ground or by streams and rivers. He would also wear that red breechcloth and leggings, the shield, the bow and arrows, and this turkey feather cape over here that's made from the tail and wing feathers of a turkey. So you can see that it's trimmed with red feathers to symbolize war and bloodshed, and black feathers for death. So the war chief had to take an oath when he first came into power to never go to war without just cause, and to also never go to war against women, children, or those who could not defend themselves. So the war chief and the peace chief would alternate power in that way. There's also that fox pelt up there. That's something that would be worn by a scout. Now, scouts were men who would go out of the village. It was their full-time job, I would say. They would go out into the village or in the surrounding area and see if there were any enemies approaching, and if they were, it was their job to make the call of whatever animal it was they were wearing. It was an animal that would have represented them, so in this case they would have had to make the bark of a fox, which is a very distinctive sound, so there wouldn't have been any confusion, and preparations would have began for war. Moving to this headdress here to the left, the yellow, that would also be worn by the war chief, but that would only be worn during his initiation ceremony and every 7 years afterwards. At that time he would do a special dance for the tribe, and that would be like a renewal of his oath to try to keep peace as best he could. Both the peace chief and the war chief had the power to call a council of 7 men, one from each of the 7 clans, as their advisors. They would also have a right-hand man and a principal speaker, and they would occupy these 3 white seats. Moving on to this skirt right behind me or above me, the turkey feather skirt, that's also made from the breast feathers of a turkey, and that would be worn by a beloved woman. She could be the widow of a chief or just a highly respected elderly woman, and she was somebody who could also call a council of 7 people, but she would call 7 women. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but women are the heads of our 7 clans, so she had a very powerful council, and she had a vote on whether the tribe should go to war or not. So if everybody in the council house wanted to go to war except for the beloved woman, then it wasn't happening. So her council of 7 women was called warrior women, and so they made important decisions such as going to war. She also had the power to decide what to do with the prisoners that the tribe took. So, for example, if she thought that somebody had redeemable qualities and would be a good asset to the tribe, she would simply adopt them into her clan, and that would be that, and people would just have to deal with it if they didn't like it. She would also have the power to put people to death if she thought that their crimes were bad enough. So that's all the things that I have here in the council house, but I'm going to move forward a little bit into history. So in 1838, President Andrew Jackson passed the Indian Removal Act, and that removed around 17,000 Cherokees from our traditional homelands, which took up territory in 8 states, and those are the 2 Carolinas, the 2 Virginias, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Around 4,000 to 5,000 died on the way to new territory in Oklahoma just due to lack of food or shelter, poor treatment from soldiers, and sickness. So today their descendants still live out in Oklahoma, and there are 2 different bands of Cherokees, the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma and the United Kituwa Band of Cherokees. And here in the Eastern Band on the Qualla boundary, we number around 16,000, and we're descended from about 800 people who were able to hide out in the mountains during that time period or fight soldiers. And in 1924, our land became trusted with the U.S. government, so we were able to remain. And at that time, we also became citizens, and that was not such a long time ago. So today, we're a sovereign nation within the United States.